right, let's bring in Geddy Lee, the lead singer of Rush. He joins us now. Geddy, good morning. How you feeling?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Well, I wasn't there. You were there front row, so I don't know. That's how would you describe that setting?
I think yesterday was, especially the seventh inning, was the weirdest and most intense inning I've ever experienced in my years of loving baseball. Just a bizarre inning, and one that ended up quite happily for Blue Jays fans, but it kind of bordered on a riot at a certain point. It was a little scary in the middle there.
Yeah, and I was talking to Dan Schulman, who called the game, and he said had Toronto not won, he would hate to think about how that crowd would have reacted last night, because we saw their anger in the seventh inning when they were throwing things on the field. But he said it could have gotten really ugly there in Toronto last night.
Yeah, it could have, and which is so unusual for this town. I guess, we've always been known as a town that needs to be encouraged to get loud, as Dave Winfield did in 1992 during the World Series. Getting out on the field and saying, "Come on, everybody, clap." But that was not the case last night, and has not been the case this season, which kind of shows a change of culture here in the city and a different kind of baseball fan coming out.
Well, also, you're hungry for a winner. You go back to 92, 93. Your Maple Leafs have been terrible. The Raptors have been just okay. So you're waiting to kind of recapture that championship feel that the city has had the taste of, but it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, that's really true. I like to think that the idiots that were throwing things on the field last night were just frustrated Leaf fans and not actual baseball fans.
How many times you sang the national anthem at a Blue Jays game?
I've only done it once. I did it in 1993 at Camden Yards for the All-Star game, and I always swore one and done. It's kind of a nerve-wracking experience.
But you've thrown out the first pitch a couple of times, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I did it for the home opener a couple of years ago here in Toronto, and I did it once in Arlington with my guitar player Alex Lifeson as my battery mate, which was pretty funny.
Were you I don't know if you get nervous before a concert, but going out to the mound or singing the anthem, how nerve-wracking? Compare the two.
Oh, they're both more nerve-wracking than doing a show, absolutely. I mean, a show is what I've been doing for my whole life, so some nights you have butterflies, but you just get over it and do your gig. But doing something that is kind of out of your realm of expertise is always kind of, more nerve-wracking. So I remember in 93 when I was just about to walk out on the field, some nice lady from the television network came up to me and said, "You'll be happy to know there's 80 million people watching tonight." And I said, "Oh, thank you for that information."
You just want to make sure you don't, have one go in the dirt, though, Geddy.
Yeah, no, I practiced like crazy. And I remember I did an interview before I threw out the first pitch with a couple of the guys at Toronto sports station. And they noticed that I had my glove with me. And one of the guys said, "Why do you have your glove? Are you expecting a comebacker?" And it was like, "No, dude, I'm in the tunnel practicing."
If you look at the front man for lead singer of a band, are you more like a starting pitcher, a quarterback, or maybe a point guard?
It's hard to compare, really, especially in a three-piece band. We all have kind of a multitude of responsibilities, and really hard to differentiate between one player and another. But the singer is the guy who's sort of the most vulnerable because his instrument is his body. It's like a pitcher in that sense.
Yeah, I talked to Randy Johnson about this recently, and we were looking at lead singers, and he was kind of, and I know Randy being a fan of yours, but he was comparing who would be him. He thought Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who, was probably like him early in his career when he was in Montreal. There was a little bit of John Bonham in there as well, since Randy's such a big drummer.
Yeah.
I think he brought in Neil as well as somebody who he could kind of relate to as a pitcher. But, I was curious about that as the lead man, if you feel like, the starting pitcher when you go out to the mound.
Well, I would say that's the closest analogy because, a singer lives in a state of fear of catching a cold. We all become germaphobes after a while on the road, and you kind of have to baby that part of you. And I know I've known many pitchers through the years, and they feel the same way about their arm. They don't allow air conditioning to blow on it, et cetera, et cetera. So it is the closest comparison, I think.
Do you have a man cave? at the house?
Yeah. Well, I have my studio.
Your studio is your man cave?
Pretty much, yeah.
What would be in there, aside from the music stuff, what would be in there that sports memorabilia-wise that I'd go, wow?
Oh, well, in my office, I keep all my sports memorabilia stuff, and I have, I've been collecting for over 25 years, so I have quite an interesting array of single-sign balls from Hall of Famers. I have a collection of presidential baseballs, and particularly I try to focus on first-pitch baseballs, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of a window into American history for me, so I like that. And a lot of game-used balls, especially, I always wanted to be a pitcher, so I try to find as many game balls from no-hitters and 300 wins. And recently I was able to acquire both game balls from Johnny Vandermeer's 2 no-hitters, so that was kind of a prize for me.
Nice. And your wife's fine with you with this hobby?
Yeah, she much prefers it to my other hobbies, one of which is collecting wine. That makes no sense to her.
If I said Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, I can only get into one of them, so I'm happy to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Let's say you just started Rush, and I say to you, you know what? I can put you in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 30 years, or you're going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What would you have taken at age 18?
Baseball Hall of Fame, probably.
Yeah. But congrats on getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's not a bad alternative.
And Randy Johnson, now, did he shoot the cover for your DVD, your concert film, the R40?
That's correct. The new DVD that's just about to come out. Randy's been a friend for years, and when he retired, we talked a lot, and he mentioned how into his photography, and even while he was a player, he used to come out and shoot our shows from time to time. So after he retired, he was really serious about it, and he came to a bunch of shows and started taking pictures and sending them to us. And man, they were really good. I mean, he's really a talented photographer. So he covered about 5 or 6 shows on this tour, and we saw some of them, and one of them just said, "Well, we have to use that for the cover. It's just so great." So, he's a very fortunate individual to be so focused on whatever he puts his mind to that he's been able to kind of stand apart from all his incredible accomplishments in baseball and have a life after the game.
And he doesn't have to stay down in front because he's 6'10", so he's able to get shots that nobody else is.
Well, he calls himself a 6'10" ninja, and he tries to be indiscreet, but everybody notices he's there.
Is Rush done touring?
Well, for the most part, it's looking like it for the moment, I would say. I never say never, and people can change their minds, but it's going to be hard to get us back out on the road at this point.
So done right now?
Right now, I would say there's no plans to tour.
Wow. What if the Blue Jays win the World Series? Then can you do a one-and-done concert?
I don't know. Me being the biggest baseball fan in the band, I would certainly be up for it.
Yeah, I don't know if
I can't see my other guys being up for it.
yeah, you might have to run it by that. You might get voted out.
That's right.
2-1. And Paulie, my producer, who answered the phone, could you tell the glee in his voice when he?
Yeah, he sounded pretty happy. That's cool.
Paulie, you would like to ask Geddy one question. Now, he wrote 5 of them for me, Geddy.
Okay.
And he never writes questions. So what question would you like to ask Geddy Lee?
If Rush were doing their final show and you absolutely knew it was your final show, what would be the last song you played if it was your choice?
Working Man.
Oh. I thought you were going to ask that, did they think about turning down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wasn't worthy enough for Rush? Wasn't that one you wrote,
That
Paulie?
was one of them.
Yeah.
Also, do you ever get tired of kicking so much ass as a band collectively?
Yes, that was another one.
Well, listen, we're Canadian, so we're supposed to be gracious, even though the 7th inning didn't show so much grace last night.
Good luck the next round there, Geddy. Great to catch up with you, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure to be here.
All right, Geddy Lee.